Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to break down Unit 14. Now, this one's really important. We're going to start with environmental education and see how it grew into this much bigger, more powerful idea: education for sustainable development. Let's make sure you've got this all down pat for your exams. All right, here's our roadmap for this chapter. First, we'll get our heads around the big challenge our planet is facing. Then, we'll dive into what environmental education actually is, see how it evolved into ESD, take a quick trip through its history, and then connect it to our future. And, of course, I'll wrap it all up with a quick summary at the end. Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's start with the core problem. As our global population keeps getting bigger, we're demanding more and more stuff. All this development and our modern lifestyle, where we want the latest gadget, the newest clothes, it's putting a massive strain on our planet. We're creating mountains of waste and, honestly, living in a way that just can't last forever.
So that brings us to the real million-dollar question, right? How in the world do we keep improving people's lives without completely wrecking the planet that we all depend on? It's this tricky balancing act between what we want and what the Earth can actually provide. And that's the big challenge we're going to unpack today. So, what was the first big idea to try and solve this puzzle? Well, it was something called environmental education, or just EE for short. This was really humanity's first major attempt to get people to think differently about their relationship with the natural world.
Now, this is super important. Environmental education is not just about learning facts about animals and pollution. The whole point, as laid out in the Belgrade Charter way back in 1976, is to make people concerned, and then give them the actual tools, the knowledge and skills to go out and actively solve problems. It's all about empowering people to take action.
So, how does EE actually get this done? Well, it follows these 5 logical steps. It all starts with simple awareness, just paying attention to the world around you. From there, you build knowledge, like understanding why a local lake is getting polluted. That knowledge helps build a positive attitude, making you care enough to want to do something. Then, you develop the skills to actually help, maybe by learning how to organize a community cleanup. And finally, inclusion, which is all about working together, because we can't solve these problems alone. See? It's a full journey. But as time went on, we realized that just focusing on the environment in isolation wasn't enough. The problems were way bigger and were all tangled up with social issues, with the economy, with how we live. And this realization led to the next big step in our story, the shift from EE to a much broader idea called Education for Sustainable Development, or ESD. And this quote from UNESCO just nails the difference perfectly. Look at that key phrase, shape a sustainable future. ESD isn't just about protecting nature anymore. It's about building a future that works for everyone and everything. One that is fair for society, smart for our economy, and safe for the environment, all at the same time. So to build that better future, ESD focuses on developing these 8 key skills or competencies. Let's just touch on a couple. Systems thinking, for example, is just about seeing how everything is connected, how buying a cheap t-shirt might affect workers and rivers on the other side of the world. Critical thinking is about questioning why we do things the way we do, and collaboration is just what it sounds like, learning to work together effectively. These 8 skills are basically the toolbox for solving the complex problems of the 21st century. Now, what's really cool is that this big idea of ESD didn't just appear out of thin air. It was actually built, piece by piece, over decades, through some really important global conversations. So let's take a quick look at that journey. This timeline gives you a great bird's-eye view of how this all came together. You can see it wasn't one single event, but a whole series of international meetings and reports that built on each other. Now, let's zoom in and look at a few of the most important milestones. Okay, let's walk through this story. The first whispers started way back in 1968. A huge turning point was in 1987 with the Brundtland Report. That's where we got the official definition of sustainable development. Then the 1992 Earth Summit was massive. It was the first time the world officially linked the environment and development together. By 2002, ESD became the official term, and it was so important that the UN dedicated an entire decade to it. And today, it's at the very heart of the world's plan for the future. So, let's talk about that big plan. How does ESD actually connect to what's happening in the world right now? Well, the answer is something called the Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs. Okay, so here they are. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Think of these as the world's shared to-do list for creating a better planet by the year 2030. They cover everything from ending poverty to clean energy, and they're all organized under those 3 pillars we talked about: social goals for people, economic goals for shared prosperity, and environmental goals for our planet. Now, all 17 of these goals are interconnected and super important. But for our topic today, we're going to zoom in on one in particular: goal number 4. SDG 4 is all about ensuring a quality education for everyone, everywhere. And if you dig a little deeper inside Goal 4, you find this absolute gem, Target 4.7. And look at what it says. It's an explicit call for every single learner to get the knowledge and skills they need to promote sustainable development. I mean, it literally names our topic. This makes ESD the engine that's going to help us achieve not just Goal 4, but all of the other 16 goals too. And this is where it all becomes personal. ESD isn't just some big idea for governments and the UN. It's about us. It's about the small choices you and I make every single day. It teaches us to pause and ask ourselves, is this something I truly need, like healthy food or clean water? Or is this just a desire, like the latest phone when my current one works just fine? ESD empowers us to tell the difference, and those small, smart choices really do add up to create a better world. Phew. Okay. We have covered a lot of ground. So let's wrap everything up with a quick summary of the most important takeaways from Unit 14. This will be perfect for your final revision. All right, let's tie it all together. First, we started with the problem. Our current way of developing is putting our future at risk. The first attempt at a solution was environmental education, which was all about awareness and skills for environmental issues. But we learned we needed a bigger picture, and so EE evolved into Education for Sustainable Development, which links the environment, society, and the economy. We learned that ESD helps us build key skills or competencies to tackle complex problems, and we saw that ESD is absolutely essential for achieving the world's sustainable development goals. And maybe most importantly, we learned that it's about your role, the power you have to make conscious, sustainable choices in your own life. For more clear explanations and daily IGNOU videos, subscribe to IGNOU Mind Decoded.